I'm looking at a life full of memories, a life full of dreams, and a life full of hopes that are now remain hopeless. I decided to quit drinking 10 days ago. 10 days ago, I drank this much of this Four Roses whiskey. My wife had one shot. Now, and I'm not saying that makes it any better, but here's what I learned in those 10 days. In those 10 days, I became a much better individual. I've noticed that my mindset was clouded and my judgment was foggy. I've noticed that my workouts have been better, my recovery and rest have been better, and I've noticed that I've been much more disciplined as an individual. I started worrying about the things that are more important in life. I stopped caring about what others think. I stopped worrying about insecurities. I stopped feeling that void of feeling like I wasn't worth enough or, becoming the person that I'm destined to be. Now, and I've started a running challenge where I say that I'm doing 30 days of training, discipline, and building purpose. And within that challenge, one thing that I have not stated is that I did quit drinking alcohol, and I figured it would be for the best of me because alcohol has brought nothing but dark times, debt, and a lot of problems into my life. When I think back to when I was a severe alcoholic, I've changed a lot since then. But back in 2022, I got my first DUI because I was partying all the time. I was hanging out with the boys, going out to the clubs and the bars, hooking up, having these meaningless relationships that overall led to nothing. But what I thought was creating memories was really just leading me into debt and a struggle in my financial situation. And now all of those friends and everything have dispersed and are apart from me. And now I built my own life with my wife and decided to quit doing all of these bad things. But it led to my first DUI, something I never thought would happen, costing me $10,000 in debt. Then it even affected my career as I stayed on a ship 45 days, got deranked. And if you've never stayed on a ship before, a U.S. Navy ship, it's practically a prison. You don't have a cell phone, you don't have a TV. You wake up at 6 in the morning and you're working until 8 o'clock at night every single day on repeat. So everybody else goes home and you're watching that, and here you are depressed and upset because that's all you can see, all you can think about is the outside world. And I thought to myself, like, even with everything that happened, I can't wait to get back to this substance. This right here has been the most hard thing to quit. I've thought about this nearly every single day. I've looked at this bottle on my bar stand, and I just think every single day, one shot won't hurt, 2 shots won't hurt, but in reality it does. And that's the problem. It's the problem with alcohol. It's literally poison. And I work out, I eat healthy, and I even run now, and doing all of these things still isn't enough to counter the effects of alcohol. No matter how hydrated you are, no matter how healthy you are, no matter how much you run, you cannot avoid this poison right here. And this poison will trap your mind. I remember I didn't even care. My relationships, I was so drunk inside of those relationships all of the time. I don't even know how those people cared or loved me because I didn't even know who I was during those points in time in life. And you're not really going to truly know who you are or know yourself until you stop using this external source to fill that void of loneliness, that void of boredom, that void of, wanting to be happy. This is just instant dopamine in a bottle, but it's costing you your time and your health at the same time of providing that happy feeling. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to drink on occasion, but I feel like even if I were to drink occasionally personally, once I have something that I like, it's like now I want to do it all of the time. And then you start finding yourself drinking on weekdays, and then you try to tell yourself, you're like, oh, I'll only drink on the weekends. And then the whole time you're at work and you're like, can't wait for the weekend to go party, to go do this, to go do that. And I think a lot of it has to do with, for me, it was just boredom and not being able to fulfill, like, boredom and loneliness. I didn't have nothing else to do. I just worked. I'm in the military. I come home to nothing. I come home to a barracks room and I'm sitting around on my phone all day and or watching TV or playing the game, and this has always made that better. That's the one thing I will say about this is life is a lot more fun when you add this instant dopamine to it. So you have to assess the risk and think to yourself, is it really worth it? I personally don't think that it's worth it, man. I'm a much better person. I mean, like there was a time where me and my best friend got into an argument because I basically ruined his girlfriend's party. Me and my friend Seth, we ruined his party because we got so drunk there and we started acting like we were obliterated. We started acting so immature and saying all of these things that we didn't mean and doing all these things, and you're around a group of people that you just met, and that's not how you want to portray yourself whenever you first meet people. You don't want to portray yourself as some type of asshole type of vibe where you just like you're being aggressive and forceful, and you don't want to be that. You don't want to be obnoxious in a group full of people that you just met, or honestly most likely never. But yeah, man, I don't know if there will ever be a day. I still think about it, but every single weekend that's passed so far, so 2 weekends, I've looked at it and I thought that I would drink. But then I thought, I'm not just doing this for me, man. I'm doing this for my future family, my future kids. I'm doing this for my wife. I'm doing it for everything that matters in life because I want to make something out of my life. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be like everybody else and drink just because it's the social thing to do, just because it's what everybody else is doing. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want my faith to be doomed by a bottle that I could have controlled. I've talked to a lot of people that drink. I have a lot of friends that still drink. I watched my best friend in college drown himself in alcohol, and he still doesn't even believe that he's an alcoholic. That's the worst part. People don't understand how much influence this bottle has on you. And it's a lot more serious than you may think. If you choose to drink one night, go out and party with friends, what you think may be a fun night is you getting handcuffed in the back of a cop car because you fell asleep behind the wheel and crashed into another individual's car and killed their whole family. And now you're going to prison for life because you have a murder sentence or a murder charge on your record, and you don't even remember doing any of that, and you just ruined poor little Timmy's life. Like you ruined that whole family's life because you took one family member or more due to this bottle that honestly, I've tried other things in life, and this is probably the worst substance there is, and it's the most available substance that there is. Yeah, it's sad. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be making this video. I feel like it's only right for me to give this information to you all. A lot of people are weak-minded individuals. A lot of people are lazy. And if you're drinking and you're already weak-minded, it's going to be very, very hard to pull. So I like to think of myself as a strong-minded individual. Very stoic, try to be very masculine, and I actually care about my appearance, care about how I present myself to others. And this will just degrade it all. This will take away anything, any type of legacy that you ever built. People always remember the bad about someone rather than the good. No matter how much good you put out into this world, no matter how much good you show them, no matter how many conversations you have when you're having fun, laughing, if you drink this one night and you go overboard and you have that bad time, people remember the good more often than they remember the bad, and then they're not going to want you around their friends, or they're not going to want you around their relationship, and you're probably going to be drinking and not care. You're going to be like, oh, blah, 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 so you really need to self-analyze and reflect and just really think to yourself, man, is this bottle worth it? You're already wasting money spending it on it. You're probably going to pregame and go out to the club thinking that you're not going to spend more money on it and end up spending more money than you would have if you didn't pregame. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go drink this.